Welcome, everyone, to Soulful Conversations with Modern Day Healers. I'm with Dr. Victoria Mondlock, and she is an OBGYN, and she's got an amazing story. So I'd like to just turn it over to her so she can tell you a little bit about herself and how she got started, not only as a physician, but where she is today and some of the organic things that led her into the practice that she has today. So, thank you so very much for joining us today. I'm so excited to hear your story.
Oh, thank you, Liz. Well, as you mentioned, I'm board certified OBGYN, but I morphed into wellness and added complementary alternative medicine, added uh, regenerative medicine, added energy medicine to my practice, just because Western medicine alone was not able to handle what the level of healing that I wanted to do with my patients. So I learned pretty quickly going through my own life journey that yes, when we're in our 30s and 40s, we're all naturally very healthy. But the minute perimenopause and hormone swing starts happening, I went through a horrible phase of literally my face blew up like a balloon and
Mm,
it felt like I was on fire, and it was my rosacea that just took off. And I didn't realize the extent of my hormone change would do that with my skin. I had to be in the operating room. I couldn't even put a mask on my face. I couldn't even
wow.
open my eyes. So literally after ice packs and getting my eyes down enough from swelling that I could open my eyes, I was horrified at what my face looked like. So I literally saw an esthetician who had to formulate something special to calm my face down. And I thought, I said something to my best friend and I said, what do you think is going on here? And she said, well, doc, if you don't know, how do you expect your patients to know? And it was just like, boom,
Oh, boy.
right? So that embarked me on my journey that took me the rest of my career to actually, I left my practice and I went solo because nobody else wanted to do what I was doing, which was get to the root cause of what was going on. And indeed, it is hormone shift, but medicine won't address it. They just tell you you'll get through it. Oh, the curse will be gone when you go through menopause. Well, wait a minute. What about that 10 years where everything is going up and down and
Right.
where our body is acting like a teenager body? And they don't understand what happens to them, and we don't understand what happens to us. So where's the science? Where's the root cause analysis? There isn't any. So I took it upon myself to, with consent of my patients, study them. And I actually developed the curves that says, where should your hormones be for your age? Not just are you in reference range, that doesn't say anything about if you're 20 or if you're 40 or if you're 35 or 70. What we need to know is, are we where we should be for our age? What a concept, right?
Right.
So that was my journey. And that was what allowed me then to not only study my patients for their female and male hormones, but these women would say to me, Doc, I feel 15 to 20 years younger than my stated age. Can you do this for my husband? Sure, I can. Can you do it for my siblings, for my parents? So we had whole extended families that were coming in and they felt phenomenal. Now, it was more than just their female male hormones, although that's a huge part of it.
Right.
But I would hormone balance the four hormone groups like four legs of a chair. And so if you can properly balance those four hormone groups, boom, holy smokes, you've actually got somebody who feels forever age 45.
Wow.
What's wrong with that? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So I started writing books about what I was doing because this shouldn't be a secret with just my patients in my practice.
Right.
So the first book I wrote was for the adolescent female, and blossoming, becoming a woman, is all about the the trials and tribulations of hormone swing when it gets started in the adolescent. Because every adolescent will tell you, why do I have cramps, but my best friend doesn't? How come she gets migraines and I don't? So what is that difference? Well, medicine isn't willing to look. They simply put you on the pill, or they give you a shot, or they say, we'll put an IUD in you and you won't have to worry about it. And when it gets bad enough, then we'll do surgery. Well, wait a minute. Nobody wants it to get bad enough that they need surgery.
Right.
If people want answers, they don't want something covered up. So Blossoming is written as a mother-daughter guide because moms can learn this journey with their adolescent daughters. Because guess what? When you get into your 40s, moms, you're going to have the reverse of what's going on in your adolescent daughter. So that's why I then wrote Full Bloom, Perimenopause, Menopause, Postmenopause, and Beyond,
Oh, I love
because
that.
this is actually their daughter's journey in reverse. That is, their daughter's hormone levels are going up, their levels are going down, but it's a mirror image of what is going on. And I explore the myths and tell the truths and tell you the research, the American versus European, about what disinformation we've been given about hormones in our body. Because think about this for a second. If hormone was so good for us when we were from age 12 to age 50, why is it suddenly so bad for us afterwards?
Right.
We're the same body. It's the same hormone. Why this 180 discrepancy of it's good for us, it's bad for us? I don't buy that. And the difference between the American versus the European research explains that difference. Aha.
Wow.
So interesting, right? And in the back of both books is a chapter, How to Talk to Your Doctor. What a concept. Because guess what? Your doctor isn't taught this in medical school. So you actually need to educate yourself, empower yourself with the information, then take this information to your doctor. And if they will not draw the blood work that I recommend in that last chapter, then know that you can order your own blood work. What?
Wow.
You can. Guess what, ladies? You can. And it's something you go online with either Quest or a subsidiary of LabCorp called Life Extensions. Both of those labs are national labs. You order your labs that I outline in the books. You pay for them online. You then they'll send you your receipt. They'll ask you your zip code and tell you, go to this website, put in your zip code, and it will tell you the lab draw station closest to you. Get your blood work done, and they'll ask you at the lab draw station, where do you want your labs to go? Well, you want them to go back to you. You're now in control of your labs. You can easily get those results because they're sent right to you. And they're not hidden away in a doctor's office or on a phone where you can't see everything all at once. You can only see one test result at a time.
Right.
Right. So now you're in charge. You are educating yourself and you are now empowering yourself to take charge of your health. What a concept.
That's so amazing. So that's where your journey started, is you started testing your
Myself
patients, you
first,
testing yourself.
then on my patients. So I have 20 years of testing on my patients that went into these books. So this is real life consented information. Names have been changed, of course,
Right, right.
but it is true research. So I've developed the graphs of where you should be to be age appropriate. Now there's two more books coming, a men's book, and then the women's book about specific diagnoses that we can manage by hormone balancing, like endometriosis, like fibroids, which both of those are estrogen dominant syndromes and diagnoses. Polycystic ovary, which is genetic. Who
Yeah.
knew, right? And infertility, which can be a result of any of those first three diagnoses. But then I'm also putting in there how to prevent breast cancer, even if you carry the BRCA gene.
Wow.
Right. So we can take charge of our own health. They don't
That,
teach this in medical school.
that is so beautiful. So did you actually, how did you get the European connection? Did your research lead you into taking a look
Correct.
at what they're doing?
Correct. Because at the time Women's Health Initiative was going on, there was a European arm going on as well. But the difference is that the Americans studied Premarin and Prempro, and the Europeans didn't. They studied human-based bioidentical hormone, came up with the opposite results. Wow. Well, the American results, Premarin is pregnant mare's urine, horse
Right.
pee. That's not human-based at all. That's horse-based. And their progesterone was a chemical synthetic medroxyprogesterone acetate. So horse plus chemical has no match to human-based. So they came up with opposite endpoints, opposite
Oh,
results. We aren't horses and we aren't test tubes. We are
right.
humans. So that's where the difference came in. And the American researchers even did another study 10 years later that mirrored the European study. And guess
Mhm.
what? They came up with the same conclusions the Europeans did. That hormone decreased breast cancer risk, decreased heart attack, decreased stroke, decreased osteoporosis,
Wow.
and even decreased Alzheimer's. But guess what they did with those results? We can't tell the American woman. We can't admit that we blew it with the first study. Oh my gosh. Well, women are resilient. They'll get over it. What?
Yeah.
What? So that's the disinformation that we've been given. The Women's Health Initiative is still considered the gold standard in hormonal research in this country. And it's based on misinformation and horse urine and synthetic progesterone, not human-based bioidentical.
That's so frightening. So what's the next step?
The next step is we have to educate and empower women. We need to take charge. If healthcare, which is 77% of doctors work for a hospital or for an insurance company,
Right.
they're not going to be able to tell you that difference in research because they have a boss who says that's bad for our bottom line. You can't go there.
So just as a regular woman, me going into my doctor, how do I talk to my doctor to get what it is I need?
You bring this book with you. You go to the last chapter where it says how to talk to my doctor. And you say, these are the labs I want done. And again, if your doctor says, I can't go there, you can order them yourself.
So
Take charge.
once I order the labs and I get an idea of what's going on with my body, then what do I do?
If your doctor is unqualified or uncomfortable helping you, then you get a hold of me
Okay.
and I will help. And I mean that wholeheartedly.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Okay.
So I will give you the link for the books that you can post, Liz, on your website and put on your podcast or in notes for your podcast later. I have as a freebie, and it's in both of the books, but as a freebie, I will also give you my single page hormone symptoms worksheet, which is what every woman needs to know on symptoms that they can checklist, easily bring this filled out piece of paper to their doctor, which puts their doctor on notice. I have these symptoms going on, and I'm giving you a copy to put in my chart, so you are now put on notice. I need help with all of these.
That's kind of exciting when you think about it, because so often physicians are overwhelmed and it reminds me, I had a specific question for my OB, for my gyno, and she chose not to respond. With
And
my
if
feet in the
you,
stirrups, she chose not to
right,
respond.
so if you have this copied and you hand it to them, that is admitted as part of your chart.
Oh,
They're
that's,
now on notice. They have it.
oh, that's, and you're right, that is empowering to take our health back into our own being and into our own hands. And
Right.
that's definitely, just as an energy medicine practitioner, that's what I also encourage my clients to do. It's like, let me show you how to take down the stress level a couple of notches. So
Correct.
yes.
Right. And so it's, don't let yourself be a victim. Empower yourself to be the woman you want to be, because you know where you want to be. You just need help getting there, and even getting back to where you had been, because really it's about, you need to be hormonally balanced, and it's your female male, but it's also, as you just said so eloquently, Liz, it's your stress, it's your cortisol, it's your thyroid, it's your insulin. Those four hormone groups, like four legs of a chair, need to be balanced. And if they're not balanced, it's like sitting on a chair with a broken leg. Boom, you're on the floor. And you
Right.
don't even know how you got there. So you rewrite the chair and you dutifully sit back down. Well, it's Groundhog Day all over again. You keep landing on the floor. Or the definition of insanity is you do the same thing but expect a different result.
Right.
So you go to the doctor and they say, well, I did all your blood work. It all looks good. There's nothing I can do for you. Well, they don't check these labs. So how can they check if there's something wrong if they're not doing the right labs? That's what having the information in the books is all about. So this is a way to say, I empower you. Take charge of your health, because you and only you live in your body, and you need and want to feel your best. So take charge.
That's so beautiful. And I totally agree with that also. Are there other things that we can do in other words, is there foods that we can do that also helps to
And
bring balance back into the body?
absolutely, one of the biggest enemies in our body is sugar, and especially sugar as we know it in the American diet.
Right,
So cutting simple sugar is one of the easiest, yet one of the hardest things to do, because it's highly addictive. And so cutting sugar, cutting unwanted and unnecessary preservatives, chemicals, soda, chips, the processed foods that it's got more chemical names than the ingredient. So those are all processed foods. There was a saying that I loved, which was, if you can't pronounce it and your grandmother never heard of it, you shouldn't put it in your mouth. So too much of what we eat is processed that we don't even know what's in it. And if the FDA cannot even drop the sugar requirement of a daily allowance by 5 grams, then wow, again, we need to not be the victim. We need to take charge, take our health back, cut sugar, cut processed chemicals out of our diet. And the best thing I'll tell people is balance and grow it yourself. If you can, get it from a farmer's market. If you
mhm,
can't, This especially is now the season of farmers markets. Go
Right.
to your local
Yeah.
farmers market and actually support your local farmers. If you have the ability to have a like a hydroponic garden at home in the winter, do it. You can get a lot of fresh vegetables that, yes, are coming from different parts of the country during the winters, but fresh, more than processed, as much as you can. And balance, again, balance hormones, balance your diet. There are ways to find out what your metabolic body type is, but keto doesn't work for everybody.
Right.
And Atkins doesn't work for everybody. So, not that a Mediterranean diet works for everybody either, but it works for the vast majority of people than the ones that it won't work for. And portion size, and stay active. Activity is huge. We were not born to be sitting behind a computer all day. We were
Right.
born to move. And so the easiest is 10,000 steps a day. But if you can do 5 minutes of stair walking, continuous stair walking up down the same flight of steps, you will be out of breath. Your heart rate will be going, and
Mhm.
you're going to accomplish 30 minutes of flat terrain walking by 5 minutes of stair walking,
Wow, that is amazing. Yeah.
right? Simple things that most people can accomplish. It's just if if you don't have that 30 minutes in your day, you're running two different jobs and you're going between, multiple caregiving tasks, you need every minute of your day. So
Yeah.
maximize your minutes, and stair walking is perfectly fine. Get enough sleep, get enough fluids in you. A gallon of fluid a day is a must for most people, with at least 16 ounces being electrolyte. We are a body of electrolyte and water. Are a body of multiple chemical reactions. We have breakdown products of those muscular reactions. Flush them out so we keep a clean system. You don't dump a bucket of mud on your floor and then never wash your floor and keep walking through.
Right.
Do the same with your body. Flush, clean.
What a great metaphor. That was such a great visual for me. With the mud on the floor. That's amazing. Anything else? So do you recommend almost like a whole food plant-based diet? Would
I
that be?
do, and Mediterranean, so very balanced with your lipids, your carbs, your protein. One of the products that I continue to represent, because many of us don't know how to properly clear inflammation from our bodies, is actually a collagen elixir with astaxanthin in it and an anti-inflammatory in it, all nutraceutical, nothing chemical whatsoever. And this, I will send you the link for this, Liz, so you can list this on your website as well.
Okay.
But this elixir is something that I had 50% of the patients in my practice on this elixir, and it went to every patient's area of need. If you had acid reflux, it went to your acid reflux. If you had a sore shoulder, it went to your shoulder. If you had issues with joint pain, it went to your joint pain. So every person, it will go to your area of need. I actually started taking it with a bag under my eye, and I thought, oh, absolutely not. Not on this watch. No way, Jose. 4 days and it was gone. My bag was gone. And I have pictures of a woman that got an entire facelift. The collagen in her face was gone, and she rebuilt her cheekbone collagen, and she got rid of deep, deep lines, smoker's lines, other deep lines, and the before and the after on her in 5 weeks. You wouldn't even think it was the same person. So it will go where you need it, which is just a beautiful thing if you think about it. So
Wow.
I will give you the website for this.
Great.
And I
Thank you.
always recommend to people to do it on subscription, which you can always cancel, but a subscription gets you my discount.
Wonderful. So do you take that once a month or do you take it every
Once a
day?
day, once a day, and it comes as a box of 30. When people have an acute issue, I would tell them do it morning and night, do it twice a day for a month, then back down to once a day, because now you've given yourself that boost, if you will. And now you've cleared the inflammation, you've built a new base of collagen, and now you're simply maintaining it on one packet a day.
So in your book, do you also include foods that create inflammation?
Well, I talk a lot about wheat, and wheat
Got
in
it.
this country in particular has been contaminated for decades because we were allowed to spray DEET on our wheat fields, and DEET became incorporated into the DNA of the wheat itself to the point we can't
Interesting.
get it out. So people that eat wheat and react sometimes with rashes, sometimes with just horrible gut inflammation that won't clear. It's not the wheat, it's the DEET they're reacting to, but we can't separate the two anymore. So when those same people travel to Europe, they can eat wheat in Europe because DEET was banned earlier in Europe than in the US. So our wheat, unless it is generationally organically grown, you're going to have trouble with wheat 9 times out of 10. So that food source may be something that it's not the wheat, but it is the DEET. And there are other examples in agriculture that point to the same thing. And unfortunately, glyphosate, which is Roundup, is just as bad as DEET. But Roundup is approved for being used on agricultural fields, and worse, on park lands and in gardens where people walk on the grass. And I had a patient that got glyphosate poisoning, shut her kidneys down, was in a coma for 2 weeks when she walked the gardens that were treated with glyphosate.
All right. So how can people get a hold of you once they have their blood tests done and taking the next step into taking back the power of their health?
Yes, the easiest is to just email me directly, which is my first initial last name, so VMONDLOCH@gmail.com. And just give me a quick blurb about my name is, I'm X number of years old. I did my labs. I listened to Lizz Naughton's show, and I am sending you my labs to get help with interpreting my hormone levels.
Wonderful.
That easy.
That is easy. And a website that they can go to
I'll include it in an email back to you, but it is the HTTPS, :/, then drvictoriajmondloch.com. So
excellent.
No dots or commas or anything else in there, just drvictoriajmondloch.com.
Right, and I'll also put those in the show notes. So
Perfect.
They will have that. Well, thank you so much. I know you have other appointments that you have to get to today, but let's consider doing a part 2. So I would love to know more about some of the remedies that you have to help us get back into balance.
Would love to. Part 2.
I would love part 2. So for my listeners, this is Soulful Conversations with Modern Day Healers. I'm Lizz Naughton, and until we meet again, please know that you are loved, and namaste. Excellent. Okay.